Mr. President, are you going to take questions on Maui?
Can you come talk about Maui? Can you come talk about Maui, Mr. President?
President, any comments on the rising death toll on Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
Can you tell us about your Hawaii trip, sir?
No, not now. I'm going to be leaving. I'll be there on Monday.
Why is it important that you go?
Thank you.
Sir, on the family issue.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, hello, people of Maui. You've shown such absolute incredible courage. And that's not hyperbole. I want you to know, on behalf of the United States of America, all the nation, the American people stand with you. Governor Josh Green, you've been incredible from the day we've spoken on this. You've been way ahead of the curve. Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, Brian Chance, our Senator, Senator Maisie. By the way, Maisie, I told my granddaughter, whose name is Maisie as well. She said, that's why I like her. Anyway, but her name is Maisie as well. And Jill Takuda, Representative Ed Chase, and Mayor Rick Bassin. Rick, when we talked on the phone, you look like you played in defensive tackle for, I don't know who, but somebody good. But at any rate, I want to thank you for your leadership and during this unimaginable tragedy. To date, 114 dead, hundreds of people unaccounted for. I remember when I got the call, my first wife and daughter, I was a young senator, and I got a call in Washington. I hadn't been sworn in yet. I wasn't old enough. And I was hiring staff in the Capitol at Teddy Kennedy's office. And I got a phone call saying from my fire department, and a young first responder kind of panicked, you got to come home. There's been an accident. I said, what happened? He said, your wife, she's dead. Come home, come home. The tractor trailer had broadsided her and killed her in a car accident along with my little daughter. And I remember all the way down from Washington home, wondering what a lot of people here are wondering. What about my two boys? How are they? They were in the car. I never got a read on that. Were they going to be all right? They were badly injured. Were they going to make it? Had they made it? Wasn't until I walked into the emergency room that I saw that they were there. The difference between knowing somebody's gone and worrying whether they're available to come back are two different things. You know, and I remember one of the people who helped me the most was Danny Inouye. He helped bring me back, so I know the feeling that as many of the people in this town, this community, that hollow feeling you have in your chest like you're being sucked into a black hole, wondering, will I ever get by this? You know, and it's one thing to know, but it's quite another thing to have to wait to wonder whether your family member is going to be okay. Imagine being a parent wondering whether your child is, where it is. I remember, as I said. My administration has been in constant contact with the governor and congressional delegation and local leaders. As soon as I got the governor's request, I signed the major disaster declaration that mobilized the whole of government response, which means whatever you need, you're going to get. Now I'm happy to turn this over to the governor, Governor Green.
Before my formal remarks, which are brief, I wanted to say that I was deeply moved by the president as he shared with us by phone about his experiences of loss and how Senator Inouye helped bring him back, and how as time has passed, he's back here with us in Hawaii. You could feel a deep, deep commitment to playing that forward and caring for our people. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Reminded of a phrase that we have a tradition in my house. Because we're always so busy over the last 25 years, whenever my daughter or my sons, when they were both alive, wanted to leave me a message, they tape it on my mirror where I shave. And I was having a particularly tough time at one point years ago. And my daughter taped on my mirror a quote from Kierkegaard. He said, "Faith sees best in the dark." Faith sees best in the dark. When things look the most bleak, that's when we need faith. I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake that's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my '67 Corvette, and my cat. But all kidding aside, I watched the firefighters, the way they responded. You know, there's an old expression. I grew up right across the street from a fire hall in Claymont, Delaware. And the expression is, God made man, then he made a few firefighters. You're all crazy, thank God. The only people who run into flames to help other people. And they ran into flames to save my wife and save my family. Not a joke. The smoke, and the firefighters here can tell you, sometimes smoke is so thick from the windows out, it was that thick inside the home. And we were insured. We did not have any problem, but being out of our home for a better part of a year. And I haven't had a house burned down with my wife in it. She got out safely, God willing. But having a significant portion of it burned, many of you have lost family. Not even sure where some are. I've had a similar experience. I was a young senator, being taken care of, not a joke, by Danny Inouye, who was my mentor. I was 29 years old. I wasn't old enough to be sworn in as a senator yet. And by the way, for 36 years, I was listed as the poorest man in Congress, so I didn't get there based on my income. And what happened was, I was down in Washington interviewing for staff. After I was elected on December 18th, before I was sworn in. And I got a phone call from my fire department saying they had to come home immediately. There had been an accident. A tractor trailer had broadsided my wife Christmas shopping with my 3 children. She was killed, my baby was killed, and my 2 boys were thought not to make it initially. So I have a little bit of a sense what it's like driving from Washington to Wilmington, 150 miles, wondering what in God's name is it going to be like when I get to the hospital. Only thing worse than losing someone is not sure whether you've lost someone. Let me end with my prayer for all of you, a prayer that was said at the funeral masses affecting my children and I don't want to do anything out of line here, but if anyone would like to speak with me when this is over, I'll stay around, because I just want you to know we really care. Not a joke. Not a joke. And besides, if I didn't, Danny, I know you're watching. I know you're watching. I think I learned the lessons you taught me. God bless you all. Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house, he was an old Irish guy. He'd yell, "Joey, keep the faith." And my grandmother would know, "Joey, spread it." Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house, he'd, "Joey, Go out and he says, spread the faith. And my grandmother said, no, Joey. No, Joey. Holler. Holler. Not just keep the faith, spread it. Jill and I are here to grieve with you, but also we want you to know the entire country is here for you. That's not hyperbole. We mean that. The entire country is here for you. We're not only going to build back for you, we're going to build back better than you had, but what you want, what you need.